Well, friends, here we are with a video I didn't expect to be making. However, it's not altogether that unexpected. Deadline and about 3,000 other places are reporting that NBC has canceled Quantum Leap after the second season, which wrapped up probably about a month ago at this point. Now, like I said, this isn't all that unexpected, but it is kind of a bit of sad and disheartening news. If you come down here in the article, they're not actually saying all that much about it, just giving you a little bit about how Quantum Leap is a follow-up to the original. No, it's not a reboot. Everyone keeps calling it a reboot, but it takes place in the same universe with mostly new characters, but some returning. Of course, Scott Bakula chose not to return. I'll get to that a little bit later, but basically it was on the bubble this entire time, so it's not really all that surprising that it was canceled. One thing that is very nice is that they actually seemingly got the names of the characters correct, not like the last time Quantum Leap was canceled and they shoved a incorrectly spelled placard, end card, whatever you want to call it, at the end of that episode. So, well, this is sad news. It's not all that unexpected, and I'm just scrolling down here, but really all it's talking about is prior press conferences and things like that. Now, I think there was something else here, another article where they react to it, so we'll take a look at that in a moment. But I just want to share my thoughts here. Quantum Leap, the revived series, continuated series, whatever you want to call it, never really caught on in the way of the original. And honestly, that's to be expected. It didn't have any of the original characters outside of some side supporting characters like Al's wife, who was not necessarily the biggest component of the original, and then we brought in Ernie Hudson as Magic from a couple of episodes, but he wasn't even played by the same actor. Not that I'm disappointed in that. Ernie Hudson is great. That leads me to something the show never really had a good grasp on, and that was utilizing the characters who weren't leaping. So it made good use of Ben, it made good use of Addison, it made good use occasionally of Ian, but sometimes that wasn't even all that well done. And the rest of the characters, particularly Jen and Ernie Hudson's Magic, they didn't always have that much to do. So I think by combining all of these storylines, they kind of fumbled a little bit to the point where after season one, they pivoted and changed course and changed direction a little bit. Now, something that gives me a little bit of, I don't know if hope is the right word, is this Quantum Leap program here is following very similar footsteps to another NBC program from a handful of years ago, Timeless. It had 2 seasons. It was fairly drastically retooled after the first season, and it was canceled after the second season as well. However, due to fan outcry, it was given I think it was a 2-episode thing, a 2-episode finale, but it was played like almost like a made-for-TV movie to wrap everything up. Now, that is probably not something that's actually going to happen here. However, I do have a bit of hope considering we're in the streaming age, so they could do some sort of follow-up on Peacock if they were going to do anything. And thankfully, Peacock seems to be the one place where things get a little bit more room to breathe and a little bit more chance to thrive, possibly because it's so new and they're just trying to get their grasp on the market. But for whatever reason, it seems like they're a little bit more willing to give things the benefit of the doubt and another chance. So it is conceivable this could maybe at some point be picked up by Peacock, but by the fact that NBC canceled it in this way, I don't think that's necessarily plausible at the moment as far as getting another season there. But I am cautiously optimistic to some extent, and I'm just wildly speculating here, that we may get some sort of wrap-up like they do on Peacock with things like the Psych movies, well after the fact. If there is enough of an audience that they believe will be brought to their service for this, that may happen. There may be some sort of long-term implication if they can get Scott Bakula involved to do some sort of movie to wrap up both series. I know that's probably a pipe dream or something, but that is something I could see on the horizon. That's not even to say I'm all that upset with how things went out. They went out on their own terms by giving us sort of a pretty good closing moment when Ben and Addison are finally reunited in the time stream by both being leapers at the same time. It isn't the resolution as far as everyone getting home. It doesn't wrap up a lot of the lingering storylines as far as the leapers from the first season or why there was an apocalypse in the future that wasn't really resolved. So there's a lot of lingering things they haven't had a chance to resolve. But as far as emotional payoff, The core of this new series was the bond between Ben and Addison, that love story, and them finally being brought together in a physical plane once again. Even if it wasn't the overall tying up all the loose ends, at least we went out on sort of a happy note where these two people were reunited, and now we can imagine they're going off, jumping from life to life with each other. I don't know if that's what the show was planning to do. I think it may have just been a moment they came together and then that was going to part again after that. But because we don't have that, we can imagine whatever we want. Now, with the original Quantum Leap, there was a lot of ancillary tie-in stuff like novels and comic books, which kind of added a little bit more closure, I guess you could say, or at least a little bit more exploration of that universe after the fact and even during the fact. I don't think that's going to be the case for this version of Quantum Leap, sadly. I don't think there's really that sort of market for a tie-in comic or a tie-in novel, unless, of course, someone were to write a Quantum Leap novel that brings back the original characters and the new characters, which again, I could see happening. So I just want to go over here and see if there's anything interesting we can glean from what they said. All right, Raymond. Wait, who is this? Is this Ben? Yeah, this looks like Ben's actor, Raymond Lee. Just wanted to say thank you to our QL fans and those who've tuned in. Your support was always felt and always warmly received. You all have made it the ride of a lifetime. We're so proud of the show we made and more proud of the stories we got to tell. And selfishly for me, I got to make some really awesome friends along the way. Sorry, I didn't intend to read this much. If and when another group gets a hold of the accelerator and its capabilities, may they find us floating in time, still striving to put right what once went wrong. Again, I think this is plausible to have some semblance of a follow-up in the future. However, I think it's more likely if they bring Quantum Leap back in 5-10 years in another new installment, kind of separate from this. They're just going to go with the original Sam Beckett and maybe not even reference this era at all. We'll have to wait and see. And then it looks like Caitlin Bassett had a little bit to say. She's so sorry to say farewell. Thank you so much for every moment of the amazing journey. Okay, so it looks like they are acknowledging the fact that the show is over. God, I've talked for a lot longer than I meant to, but I felt like I needed to put in a final little statement since I've been covering the show the whole length of its run. And sad news, but at least we got a better finale than we did in the original. Well, I don't even want to say that. The finale of the original Quantum Leap was actually a very good episode, but it didn't inevitably give us that wrap-up and closure, and it spelled Sam's name wrong on the end title because it was so rushed. This episode at least gave us that parting moment, the reunion between these two characters that we kind of invested a lot of time in. So I guess those are my thoughts, rambly and incoherent as they may be. What do you think of this news, and did you expect this? Honestly, I was cautiously optimistic that we would be getting a third season because the show did finally seem to be getting on the footing on telling the stories it wanted to tell, but not unexpected whatsoever. Leave all your thoughts down below, like, share, subscribe, do all those YouTube things. And until next time, I hope your next sleep is a leap home.